Have you ever seen a moment that silenced an entire crowd, not with violence, but with respect? This story begins inside a noisy martial arts gym, where fighters spar, sweat, and laugh. It was just an ordinary day until a black belt decided to make a joke. He pointed at a woman in an old cleaning uniform, her hands rough from years of scrubbing floors, her back slightly bent from labor. With a smirk, he asked, "Hey, want to fight me?" Everyone laughed, because the idea of a cleaning lady facing a skilled fighter seemed absurd. But what happened next turned that laughter into silence, and the silence into something unforgettable. Her name was Maria. She was in her late 40s, a quiet woman who cleaned the gym every evening. She never complained, even when the fighters left muddy shoes on the mats or spilled protein shakes she had to mop. To most of the young athletes, she was invisible, just the cleaner. But Maria carried secrets in her silence. When the black belt mocked her, expecting her to refuse, she simply put down her mop, looked him in the eyes, and said in a calm, steady voice, "All right. If that's what you want." The gym erupted with laughter. Nobody thought she was serious. But Maria walked slowly to the mat, tied her gray hair back, and stepped barefoot onto the surface as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The black belt chuckled, pretending to bow in respect. Everyone expected her to fumble or surrender instantly. But when the sparring began, something incredible happened. Maria didn't move like a cleaner, she moved like water. Her stance was grounded, her eyes sharp, her balance unshakable. The first time he lunged, she pivoted effortlessly, guiding his weight past her and nearly tripping him. Gasps filled the gym. When he tried again, faster, she countered with a grip so firm and precise that the black belt himself froze in shock. Within seconds, she had him pinned in a hold that even advanced students struggled to master. The laughter died. The gym fell silent. And in that silence, the truth began to emerge. Nobody had known that Maria was once a national judo champion. Years ago, before life's hardships forced her to abandon her dreams, she had stood on podiums, holding medals. She had trained for years under the hardest conditions, but after her husband fell sick and her family lost everything, she gave up competition to work, first as a waitress, then as a cleaner, just to keep her children fed. The mats, however, had never left her soul. Every movement, every hold, every instinct was still there, hidden under the disguise of a simple cleaning lady. As the black belt struggled in disbelief, Maria let him go gently, bowing respectfully as if the sparring match had been nothing but a lesson. The entire gym burst into stunned silence before slowly filling with applause. For the first time, the fighters looked at her not as a cleaner, but as a warrior. Some even lowered their heads in shame, realizing how quickly they had judged her by her uniform, not her spirit. But Maria didn't stay to bask in glory. She picked up her mop again and continued cleaning, as if nothing had happened. That, perhaps, was what silenced everyone the most, her humility. The coach of the gym approached her later, his voice filled with awe, and begged her to train the younger students. She hesitated, worried that her time had passed, but when the students themselves pleaded, their eyes shining with newfound respect, she finally agreed. Over the following months, Maria became more than just a cleaner. She became a mentor, a symbol of strength not just in fighting, but in life. She taught the students that discipline and humility mattered more than flashy belts. She reminded them that true strength wasn't about how many people you could defeat, but how much you could endure, and how you treated those around you. The black belt who once mocked her became one of her most dedicated students. He carried the shame of his arrogance, but also the pride of having witnessed something extraordinary. He admitted openly that Maria had changed his perspective forever. The gym, too, changed, becoming less about competition and more about respect, and so, the woman who once scrubbed sweat off the mats began teaching lessons upon them again, not for medals, not for fame, but for something greater, to remind everyone that dignity and greatness can be hidden in the most unexpected places. So, if you take anything from this story, let it be this: never underestimate someone because of their appearance, their job, or their silence. Every person carries battles you know nothing about. Some carry scars, others carry hidden strength. And sometimes, the ones the world overlooks are the ones who can teach us the greatest lessons of all.